thinking back in time to when I was a young boy, an aspiring teenager whose biggest dream it was to become a big conductor in front of big symphony orchestras one day. I thought about this today because it's kind of funny now. All I do is to conduct conductors with all the sample sessions and stuff. It's kind of weird. But back then, I remember reading about different orchestral terms, and one of the first one that hit me like really deep was the Italian concept of con fuoco. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which means fire, the fire in the music. Right here in California right now, we have these crazy wildfires. I just took, let me show you here. I took a picture of the sunset, and as you can see, it's beautiful, but it's one of those toxic sunsets that's all made from pollution. But there's two types of fire. There's bad fire and then there's good fire, and this is what the Bible of Salsa is all about. Encapsulating the fire of salsa music and Latin, but to a degree that is so playable that allows anyone to create photorealistic salsa music completely in their own direction, whatever they want to do. And we already have one volume out of the Bible of Salsa, which was all about encapsulating all these phrases. We also have this second volume here, which doubles up on all that content. So now, for example, you have like 40 different deep sample phrases for brass, so you can do all these different licks. These are things that you can't do with multi-samples like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Those things, that's impossible to do with multi-samples. Forgive me for my singing techniques, but you know what I mean. You need that recorded as a phrase. And these volumes are really designed to work on their own. You don't need to own volume 1 or 2 or 3 in particular, or all of them. You can use just one volume. So just as I did in that volume 1, in this one here, I'm also going to show you just what you can do with this library alone, and how much versatility this ultra deep sample approach actually offers. Also, towards the end of the video, I just want to give you a glimpse into our volume 3 for Bible of Salsa, which is coming soon as well. As I mentioned, the first 2 volumes is all about phrase sampling, but in the third one is all about ultra deep sampling the players with multi-samples. We have true polyphonic interval legato, so you can play everything super fluently on the keyboard, chords, solos, whatever you want. And dare I say it's the most nimble and bubbly legato I've ever played in my life. There's actually 6 different types of them. It really just works. You can isolate the players, play trumpet, saxophone, trombone alone. It is crazy. You combine that with all the phrases, all 3 volumes together, and you have the Bible of Salsa. I remember we wanted to call this the Encyclopedia of Salsa when we started, because we just wanted to approach this with an ultra deep sampling philosophy in mind, and really just get everything we could, capture the whole soul of salsa music. In fact, for these libraries combined, we're covering all 21 different styles of salsa that we could identify. For example, in this volume here, covering classic salsa, modern salsa, unique salsa mambo variations, and essentially built the entire catalog of salsa music, but in such a deep sampled way and easy playable. For example, for me, I'm not really a Latin composer, but with this library here, I can score completely realistic Latin music without really knowing what I'm doing. And with volume 3, you get all the control. You really don't want to get into multi-samples and all that stuff, but just along with one of these volumes here, it's so rich and dense on samples that you can virtually do whatever you want. But let's get into the DAW. I love you watching here, and I'm so excited to show you. This is another one of those libraries where we captured the true fire of the performances, and you can feel it on the keys. So let me show you. So as you can hear, it's not just that we have solos for the brass instruments, you can actually also have solo for the rhythm section here. You can have the section both play in normal rhythms, but also do solos. If you want to go crazy on the bongo like we just heard, you can totally do that. But let's take the demo from the top. Right now you can see here it says groove 200 BPM cascada, and this is a specific rhythm played on the bass. The bass is multi-sample, so it's fully playable on the keys, but each of these ones are playing different rhythms that you can then play completely fluently. Let me try another one here. And it's cool because each of them has sort of a different style. These are two different styles of cascara played at two different tempos, one in romantic style and another one in more classic salsa. And they're so cool. When you use them together with the rhythm section, you really get the feel. You can hear there's sort of a slight, almost I want to call it delay in salsa. It's just, you can hear in the bass too, that feel of the groove. The rhythm section is one of the largest parts of Bible of Salsa. What we quickly realized when we went to Colombia to record it is that you really need players that do this for a living. The feel in salsa is very, very hard to emulate it on the keys unless you're a trained salsa player. So for that reason, we recorded over 20 different styles of salsa for the rhythm section, and you can see the names correlate here. So you got salsa romantica, just like we heard on the bass. You also have it for the rhythm section here. If you notice down here in the key switches, you can see a couple of different colors. The blue, yellow, green colors mark the standard rhythm, and then all the red ones here mark variations or rhythmic explorations of that groove. Let's start with the standard rhythm first. And then let me trigger a couple of the tempo synced explorations. And the same for conga. Let me start here with the standard rhythm first. And just one of the rhythmic variations for congas. And we got cowbells. And some of those unique timbale rimside plays in salsa. And shakers and guidos. And then you can essentially duplicate all that for each of the different core rhythms. Let me try one more down here. And I mean, you try to sequence a rhythm like this. Let's bring the tempo to 210 for the modern salsa. And just like we have for the bass and the rhythms, we also have all the individual rhythms and chord progressions for pianos as well. Check this one out. Let me just try the mambo variation of that one too in classic salsa. Or we can try the pesada cascara here as well. And you can see here on the keys that you essentially just follow the chord key and it'll play the rhythm in that. And some of the chord inversions are, you know, pretty unique. And you just get that right feel. These are hard to play in reality. There's a feel to them, and that feel ties together with the group of the whole ensemble. We also got polyphonic legato for vocals.
Salsa, salsa, baila, salsero, baila, rumbero.
And then perhaps the star of the entire salsa section, this massive, beautiful brass ensemble. And in the first volume of Bible of Salsa, we had 24 unique brass phrases that are fully playable like everything else in the library. Volume 2 has exactly the same, but these are new phrases. Of course, everything is entirely new in this volume. So you have not just 24 from the first, but now you got 48 if you combine both volumes. And that gives you essentially everything you need to make super realistic salsa phrases. I'm going to take you through the individual phrases here, and then also note down here how you can isolate each instrument in the section. We got a trumpet and a trombone and a tenor sax, and each of them doing their own thing. They all sing together, but if you just want to isolate them and play around with one or two of them, you can do that. Let me just play the same thing, just isolating the trombone here. And sometimes in multi-samples we get used to sort of the staccatissimo, staccato fashion, but we never think about all the ornaments that they really do in terms of runs and all the little sort of woo like swoops they make on the brass, particularly for styles like salsa. Let me try to isolate the trumpet in this one so we get a little more of that bottom range for the bone and the sax. Oh, that one might actually be more fun just to have the trumpet solo on. Yeah, we have a whole second page of additional phrases too. And the idea with the phrases is that they're fully playable on the keyboard, so you can also make your own sort of rhythms just by playing straight on the keys. So as you can see, there's endless combinations. We have 24 different types of phrases. They're all playable down here. You can isolate each instrument in them. And we also have additional features here. If you want to start getting into speed control, you can go half or double speed. You can gate the sounds, tune them further, all that kind of stuff in the deeper aspects of the UI. We also have a 4-set modulation matrix in the engine where you can assign anything you want to different CCs and control them at the same time. It goes way deep. Let me just try to trigger this center part of the MIDI demo where I'm playing with the different solo instruments here, and then let's dissect them a little further afterwards. As you can see, there's a section here for saxophone, and there's a section here for trumpet, and another one for trombone down here. These are different banks that each have corresponding sample sets in them, and they tie into the different styles. So in the case of the demo here, I'm playing F minor. That means all the solos is played around F minor at 170 BPM, and it all just matches to the groove and the feel of the entire ensemble here. I like to play on the keys. It's all tempo sync solos, so they match your host tempo, but they're super easy and fun to play around with. Let me just start a couple of variations of the same phrases. Just see me play down here. Each of the keys down here correspond to a unique solo phrase, and you can imagine how many that is when you have 12 different banks that each have this sample set in front of them. And it's so neat because you can essentially just play the solo to the tempo of the song and it just adapts and wraps around it so easily. And the beautiful trumpet and trombone follows suit. Again, you have 12 different banks with so many different tempo sync solos on them. Let me just show them quickly here. And then I'm also going to give you a little sneak peek into our third volume of Bible of Salsa, which is complete multi-sampling. And it has the best legatos I've ever played when it comes to lively and bubbly legatos. So let me just trigger these solos here first, and then let's get a little sneak peek into volume 3 as well. And I just love these solos here because they just work. And if you, like me, don't exactly know how to play advanced solos for salsa music, you have so much diversity in the sample material here. You can also use offset if you want to go into the phrase. All right, so look down here. Check out this one. This is our new polyphonic legato for Bible of Salsa Volume 3. It's truly polyphonic interval legato, the first time it's ever really been done. Let me just play something quick here. Even when you just like take your fingers and just slide up and down the keys, if you trigger the legato intervals, it sounds like this. And just like the rest of our Bible of Salsa collection, you can also choose what instrument you want to play. So let me just isolate the trumpet here. And it's also beautiful to play polyphonic. But with 6 different types of legatos, each having the ability to isolate the instruments, you can do a lot more than you just heard. Let me play this one for you here. We called it a lazy flat. I would use it more for ballads and that sort of slow style Latin music. We also got another type of legato with more distinct vibrato in it, really attitude. Or you can push it even further with our extreme vibrato if you really want that mariachi style. And that's just a little taste of the Bible of Salsa Volume 3, which is all about multi-samples. But in this video, we're really focusing on the second volume of Bible of Salsa with all the beautiful basses and rhythm sections and different types of pianos. We didn't even get into the second piano. We actually have the whole thing duplicated twice. Vocals and unique phrases with brass. Imagine what happens when you take the multi-samples you just heard and you combine them with the phrase sections here as well. Then you really have the true Bible of Salsa, which is what this library is all about, and this whole idea of encapsulating the true soul and sampling it so deeply that we'll never have to come back to it, and that you can render completely realistic salsa music with it. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little journey. I'll see you in the next video.